open to 50-50. I've been in relationships. I've been married before, JR. We didn't really get into my relationship history, but I've been married before. And, it was definitely at times when that person was contributing more because they were just the breadwinner, but it was always a team effort. So I'm never going to say, oh, a man has to pay for everything. That's not my personal belief. I believe in teamwork and working together. And I feel like I want to have my queendom. I want him to have his kingdom. And then together we have an empire. That's my belief. You know what I mean? And when you're both contributing in that way, it may not be 50-50. The exact percentage is really irrelevant to me. What's important to me is that person is contributing in a meaningful way towards our goals. And that could be monetary or it could be in another way. And then I'm doing the same thing. So I'm open to 50-50. I'm open to 30-70. I'm open to anything really, so long as we're pursuing our goals as a team.
Yeah, and I would agree with her. I don't think that there's one method that's tried and true for every couple. I don't think that anybody should generalize and say everything should be 50-50 or every relationship should be, the man paying for everything. I think that each couple needs to do what works for them. I know for me and my husband, we both do what works for us, and for us, we have our separate accounts and we have our joint accounts. We put in percentages and we govern our household accordingly from there. I don't think there has to be I have to do everything. I'm not the type to subscribe to traditional gender roles in general. So having to say that, my husband has to pay for everything and I have to pay for nothing is not something that I need or believe in. I also don't think that it needs to be defined as a 50-50 because sometimes no relationship is ever 50-50 in finances, in effort, in love, and whatever you're bringing to the table in relationships and marriages in general. So there's going to be sometimes when I'm at 80 and he's at 20. There's going to be sometimes when he's at 70 and I'm down to 30. It's how much can this person bring to the marriage, whether it's finances, whether it's effort, love, attention, support, whatever it is, how much can this person do in this moment? And those roles and percentages change depending on the way life goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not knocking anybody who does believe that the man should pay for everything. Once again, whatever works for you and yours over there, you guys have to agree to it. Because I do know women who feel like that. And I know a lot of men who feel like that too. Like, no, I'm the man, I'm going to pay for everything. And that's just been ingrained in them. So I know I've heard it from both perspectives. So, and I just hope that those people find each other.
Do you believe that all money should come together?
Well, we don't. We don't have one pot, but we are one family. So even if we have separate accounts and a joint account for households, if there's ever a time that we have to adjust, I don't have a problem with that. I believe in flexibility in life and love. So one pot, we are one. We are one person, at the same time. But we also got married later in life, and he and I both have our individual businesses. He has his business, I have my business. So it's not just a traditional, he's the breadwinner and I come home and take care of the house. That's not our relationship and our dynamic. What works for us is that we have our separate accounts and then we have our joint family account.
How do you guys feel about prenups? Is that something that you guys think is necessary? Or do you believe that once you're married that it shouldn't be no prenups involved at all?
I don't have an issue with prenups. I'm a woman that has seen a lot of success in life, in business, in my careers. We did not do a prenup. We discussed it and talked about it. We did not do that, not because we didn't want to. We just got busy with work and life and didn't end up getting it done before we got married. But I think that it's not just to say that, if you get a prenup that, you're planning for the demise of the marriage. I think that when you get to a certain stage in life, sometimes you just have to make sure that, I don't know, I think that it's protecting you and your partner. I know that when, heaven forbid, if divorce happens, sometimes people can show different sides of them, and the person that you married might not be the person that shows up in the courtroom. So I think that prenups, if you do it, if you don't do it. I think, again, I'm a live and let live type of person. If it works for you, go for it. My husband and I didn't do it. We planned on doing it, didn't have time to do it. But I think that it works for, it's not needed for everybody. And not saying that all rich people need it, and not saying that poor people don't need it. I think that if you have anything that you bring to the table and you want to protect yourself, whether it's you protecting your car or your dog, you brought a dog into the marriage and, now it's a family dog, or whether you have property or businesses. I think that it depends. If you had children beforehand, I think that the prenup could be of assistance when needed. I don't think it's required, but again, live and let live. JR, I'm the the free spirit. Like I don't judge or put any stipulations on anybody's life, love, relationships, careers. What works for you works for you.
What is one of the biggest reasons as to why relationships and marriages are failing?
I think there's, it could be countless reasons why marriages fail. I think that society is different than the society that our parents and our grandparents came up in. I think that, back in the day in the 50s and 60s, relationships and marriages stood the test of time because of the way society, the way media, there are a lot of different things were. I don't think that you can put the same expectations on marriage today as you can in the 1960s, and just the same way you couldn't put the same expectations of marriage in 1960 as you did in 1892. I think that as times change, relationships and dynamics change. I think that marriages today could be ending because of countless different reasons. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's they came into the marriage with different expectations. Maybe they didn't, realize that they were not as compatible as they thought they were, or maybe you just grew apart, and that's okay too.
But to that point, JR, I actually read recently that divorce rates are down.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's.
I think that's definitely a misconception. People think that divorce rates are going up, but the stats say that divorce rates today are lower than they have been in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You mentioned growing apart, and that's okay. Can you elaborate on that? Why you think it's okay to grow apart once you're married?
The person that I am today is not the person I was 10 years ago. I think that people grow apart, people change, and we hope that as we grow and change that we can still make that work. I think that sometimes there could be aspects where that growth takes you so far apart that you are no longer aligned and it can't be bridged. As a married couple and as a husband and wife, I do believe that you need to work your hardest to bridge that gap, and whether you're growing left or right, to make sure that you guys are doing the work to stay committed and honor that vow that you took. However, in some aspects, in some cases, there have been marriages where one person has grown and had different beliefs that is completely different than they did in the beginning of their marriage, and that could be detrimental to the marriage. Whether it's new religious beliefs, maybe it's new ideologies that they didn't have before, maybe they've come to a new point in life where they just want to wild out, and that doesn't align with the person that the other partner has. Maybe he's gotten some kind of drug abuse or some kind of violent tendency that they didn't have before. And if that is the case, you have grown apart and you're no longer aligned. And sometimes that gap can't be bridged.
When you say that, that's an understanding before you get married that you guys are going to grow in different ways. And, sometimes traumatic experience that you may endure during that marriage. It's almost like you sign up for that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you sign up for that, then would you still say it's okay to grow apart knowingly that you signed up for that in the beginning before taking the vows? Go ahead.
I was going to jump in here and say that, I think that in no relationship are the people who are in that relationship close at all times. You know what I'm saying? The relationships grow, they evolve, they're dynamic, they change. And so you can feel really close and connected to your partner in one moment, and then externally, internally, whatever the case may be, something impacts you all and you may grow apart. There may be a shift, a rift, whatever the case is. I think that is natural for couples to grow apart and come back together. It's almost kind of like a rubber band situation. I think that is natural. I think, and it's okay for that to happen. What I think is more important is when both people in the relationship are choosing to try to come back together. That is what to me is most important.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like it can't be one person in the relationship trying to tough it out because, they have made this vow, they have whatever the case may be, and the other person is just checked out. It takes two to tango. And so for me, I think what's most important about growing apart is that both people are making an effort to try to find their way back to each other and to try to choose each other again. If you don't have that, you can't ever like actually really make amends or make that bridge back to one another. And that's when I think divorces and separations and things like that start to make more sense because you have someone who's checked out. And I feel like at that point when you're with a checked out partner, you can only endure so much. And I'm not saying, oh, someone decided not to go to a counseling session, so you're divorcing. Like, obviously these things take time, but it can't be about the distance always. It's about the effort on both sides to find each other. I think that's what's most important about like the relationship.
Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.